It's Thursday, May 14th, 2026. Trump goes to China while China gets sanctioned again. California's in trouble with the fraud czar, and you, yes, you, have proven yourself to be a xenophobic isolationist, and I'm proud. Next on the AM Update. President Trump arrived in China early yesterday morning, to a performatively adoring throng of Chinese people. They were all cheering, waving flags and whatnot. He flew aboard, of course, Air Force One, being joined by Elon Musk, along with Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. President Trump also confirming on Truth Social he's bringing a whole phalanx of some of the top corporate leaders of American business, some of those titans, including those from Cargill, Boeing, and others. Just a huge assortment of top corporate leaders from the United States. Also, this comes amid a word that the State Department sanctioning 4 Chinese companies for providing material support to Iran in the midst of the U.S.-Iran war. They say the companies provided satellite imagery that enabled Iran to attack U.S. military bases. So, again, in the midst of all of this, the continued sanctioning of Chinese companies for directly and materially supporting America's enemies, or at least geopolitical foes, the imprisoning, at least the indictment of that California mayor who was working as a spy for the Chinese Communist Party. All of these stories hitting right as Trump is going to China. You wonder if those things are connected. There is one area of agreement, according to the State Department as well. China has publicly and vocally said they support the United States. Supporting the United States, they wouldn't put it that way, but they do agree with the United States that Iran cannot long-term enact a toll on vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz. That is notable. We'll see whether or not China actually has any sway with the IRGC. Back at home, testifying in front of Senator Rand Paul's Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, the current employee of the CIA, James Erdman III, testified yesterday, blowing the whistle on intelligence agencies, what they knew when they knew it about COVID.
Intelligence community leaders and senior analysts downplayed the possibility that the COVID pandemic originated as a result of a lab incident. Motives are difficult to define given the scope of the Diggs review.
I'm not entirely sure that motives are difficult to ascertain, but go on, Mr. Whistleblower from the CIA.
Intentional or not, the IC's actions resulted in a cover-up, wasted resources, and a failure to properly inform policymakers. Public health policy would have been very different had the American public been made aware that a virus from a lab in China was going to serve as the foundation for an emergency use authorization mRNA products being mandated by the former administration.
Now he talks about Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Fauci's role in the cover-up was intentional. Dr. Fauci influenced the analytical process and findings by leveraging his position to ensure the IC consulted with a conflicted list of curated subject matter experts, public health officials, and scientists.
John Erdman III, I believe is his name. Current CIA employee, whistleblower, James Erdman III, I should say. Whistleblower on the intelligence community, what they knew about COVID, the cover-up of what they knew about COVID, and laying the blame for the cover-up of the lab leak hypothesis, laying the blame at the intelligence community and Anthony Fauci. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that the statute of limitations for prosecuting Anthony Fauci for any lies he did or may have told about the origins, what he knew about the origins of COVID-19, the statutes of limitation. Now, it ran out a couple days ago, and all of a sudden we have a whistleblower from the CIA just basically confirming, yep, Fauci knew, we all knew. How do you like them apples? I'm sure that whistleblower, I'll give him the maximum benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he means well, but this comes across as flipping the double bird from the intelligence community. Yeah, you're dang right we knew what was going on. You're dang right Fauci knew what was going on. couldn't have blown the whistle 3 years ago. I think Rand Paul was a senator 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I think Rand Paul was a senator 4 years ago. This is not the only mention of Rand Paul in today's rundown. I just want to let you know. We'll get to that later. California's in trouble. Vice President J.D. Vance announced Wednesday the Trump administration withholding $1.3 billion in Medicaid payments to California, threatening to suspend federal funding to all states if they don't aggressively prosecute fraud in their Medicaid programs. As part of his role as the fraud czar, Vance said the administration is targeting California because the state isn't taking fraud seriously. Medicaid chief Mehmet Oz dropped a fact during this press conference that blew J.D. Vance's mind. Listen to this.
So, Dr. Oz, I want to make sure I understand this well. So you're saying that we kicked off 800 fraudulent healthcare providers off of the Medicare system, and not a single one of them called the government and said, hey, you made a mistake?
We've had a handful of calls. We're not sure they're legitimate yet, but it's less than 20 out of 800, and we're auditing them.
Unbelievable. So at least 780 are not even trying to claim that they're not fraudulent. And again, those are businesses that we were giving hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of dollars to, not to provide services, but to make a fraudster rich. It's just completely insane. Drives home the scale and scope of the problem.
What are you supposed to say to anybody, notably maybe the young men, who are on the verge of blackpilling, just going full on cynicism? Let's say that I'm really capable. Let's say that I'm a go-getter. Let's say that I have ambition, which is dwindling, especially amongst my generation. I have a higher opinion of the abilities of Gen Z than a lot of people. But let's say you're in that camp where you would be a go-getter, you would be ambitious, but you're looking at stories like this, the story that Luke Rosiak at the Daily Wire uncovered a couple weeks ago, the fraud in Ohio, specifically carried out predominantly by African immigrants. I heard this week as well that Ohio's governor, DeWine, actually changed the rules around how you actually bill Medicaid so that there was basically, it enabled fraud. It made fraud easier. You don't have to actually prove where you were, when you provided this supposed service. You're looking at this and you're tempted to blackpill. You're on the edge. What am I supposed to say politically? Now I'm glad that there's a fraud czar here. I'm glad that the administration, at the very least, putting the vice president of all people on this, I'm glad they at least look like they're taking it seriously. But long term, what am I supposed to tell somebody who is just about to jump into the black abyss? I'm talking politically here, not spiritually. Politically. Like, what is the point of trying in this society when your money is just going to be stolen so that immigrants can commit fraud? That's what you're going to find in most of these stories. It's immigrants, whether legal or illegal. It's incredible. How about redistricting? South Carolina Republicans put the kibosh on redrawing their map to get rid of, I think, one of their handful, if not only, congressional districts represented, or that is won by a Democrat typically. Republicans shying away from doing that before the midterms in the Palmetto State. Unbelievable. Also in Louisiana, they are redistricting, but instead of drawing a map that could have given Republicans likely 2 more seats, they're just doing 1 because they want to be nice. Nevertheless, Hakeem Jeffries is really angry.
We will beat the far-right extremists. We're going to win in November, and then we're going to crush their souls.
Will to power. That's the language. That's the only language left-wingers actually know. Let's go to this. The adult son of Senator Rand Paul launched a vile, anti-Semitic, and homophobic tirade at Representative Mike Lawler, that's a Republican from New York, at a bar in D.C. this week one night, saying at one point the Iran war was about the gays and the Jews, and I hate them both. And I don't care if they die. The story's from the New York Post. I don't believe there's any such thing as homophobia, by the way. Just want to get that out there. In a phone conversation recounting the evening, Lawler told the Post he was sitting at a popular D.C. bar with a friend and reporter for a publication which revealed the incident involving William Paul, that's Rand Paul's son. Lawler recalled Rand Paul's son saying, quote, "So Rand Paul's effing son is sitting next to us at the bar, and he just like chimes in our conversation, blanking drunk and belligerent, and then starts going off about, if Thomas Massie loses his primary, it's because of my people." And he says, I'm like my people? And yes, Rand Paul's son says, the Jews. So Rand Paul's son says he thinks that Mike Lawler is a Jew. That's not correct. He's not a Jew. And he says if Thomas Massie loses his primary, loses his primary, it's because of the Jews. Lawler then reminded Rand Paul's son that he is in fact Irish Catholic. What the heck is this? Again, this is being reported on by the New York Post, other outlets as well. I used to think that what we call anti-Semitism, just edgelords online, kind of harmless. Hey, everybody gets made fun of here. Equal opportunity offender. Sure, we can poke some Jew jokes. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe I do have some work. There's theories out there. But whatever it is about Jew hate, Jew jokes, anything edging on anti-Semitism, it's clear to me now it's just absolute 200 proof brain rot that should not be entertained at all, ever. Listen, I'm all for expanding the Overton window. I am all for expanding what we can and cannot talk about or can or cannot say. Jew hatred or anything resembling it is just a pit from hell, a portal to hell, for whatever reason. And so, no, it must not be entertained. When we come back, it is, of course, our 250th anniversary of this country. We're reminded why we got away. The King of England provided that reminder. Also, the Pope is the Catholic Church and the Pope doing some damage control and a palate cleanser and a reminder. Xenophobic isolationist. That's coming up next. Oh boy, King Charles.
My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernize how citizens interact with public services.
Okay. The King of England in the year of our Lord, 2026, just by monarchical decree, get on the digital ID thing. The mark of the beast, I mean, maybe. That is why, just a poignant reminder from the current King of England, mind you, why we fought that war 250 years ago. Just executive screed, monarchical screed, get on the digital ID thing so we can track you and play Big Brother all the more. It seems as if either there's a big misunderstanding or the Holy See is playing damage control. Here's a post that went viral from, I think it's Isle Jacoby. He is, he's everywhere on social media. I believe he was with YAF at one point. Don't quote me on that. But he is a huge friend of Israel. I think he's Jewish himself. I would assume so. He posted this photograph of Pope Leo shaking the hand of someone wearing a turban, looks kind of maybe Iranian, with this caption, quote, "Pope Leo XIV bestowed the Vatican's highest diplomatic honor on the Islamic Republic's ambassador Ayatollah Mohammad Hossein Mokhtari. The man is part of the regime that slaughtered 42,000 of its own people and imposes the death penalty on Muslims who convert to Christianity." That's a pretty loaded accusation there. Pretty loaded post in and of itself. And there's a picture of Pope Leo. What's the difference? Shaking the hand of this gentleman. And this gentleman looks like an Iranian, is holding some sort of medal. Well, the Holy See, at least the U.S. Embassy at the Holy See, posted this in response to this ongoing firestorm. Quote, contrary to news reports, Pope Leo has not bestowed an exclusive special honor to the Iranian ambassador to the Holy See. This decoration is given to all accredited ambassadors to the Holy See after 2+ years of service and has been standard practice for many years. It is a personal recognition and does not imply support or opposition to any policy or country. 13 ambassadors were recently given this recognition. Previous U.S. ambassadors have all received the same. Finally, the decoration was not given in person by the Pope. So, if you see headlines or see posts about the Pope giving this highest diplomatic honor, quote unquote, to some Iranian muckety-muck, now you know both sides of the story. I don't really know what's true. We'll watch that play out. It certainly seems like the Holy See, the Vatican, doing some damage control. Let's do a palate cleanser. Hannah Harper is the newest winner of American Idol, capping a season in which the Missouri mother of 3 openly shared her Christian faith, struggles with postpartum depression, and a passion for worship music with millions of viewers. 26-year-old Willow Springs, Missouri native was crowned the winner Monday night during the show's 3-hour finale, defeating finalist Jordan McCullough, a worship leader who performed Goodness of God as his final song of the night, and another singer, Kayla Richardson. Harper performed Married into This Town, teamed with country singer Lee Ann Womack for a duet of I Hope You Dance, and revisited her original song, String Cheese, which went viral following her audition earlier this season. Carrie Underwood, one of the judges, told Harper following her first performance of the night, quote, "You deserve to be here for your voice, for who you are as a person, for who you are as a mom, as a daughter, for your songwriting. I'm so proud." After host Ryan Seacrest announced her victory, Harper became emotional as she closed the night with At the Cross. Love Ran Red by Chris Tomlin, while fellow contestants and judges gathered around her on stage. What a cool story. I was talking to my wife about this. Her original song that she auditioned with, well, it was all about, struggles with postpartum depression, but the joy that she has in being a stay-at-home mom and how unashamed she is that that's her calling in life. And apparently some lefties tried to make a controversy out of that, saying that that's some sort of propaganda. No, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's entirely normal, and it should be normalized. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Let's go to this, our poll of the week. Been teasing this so far all morning. In this poll of the week, I received significantly, and I mean significantly, more replies than actual votes. So what gives? I posted this poll very much tongue-in-cheek. Kind of clickbaity. That's how I try to do these. I let you read into them, answer however you would like. That's one of the ways that we can interact. By the way, you can follow me on X at RealAmUpdate if you don't already. I asked you, what country would you rather talk about? Iran, Russia, China, or other? Comment below. And I want to let you know that most of you have proven yourselves to be xenophobic isolationists. With a resounding first place finish, the option other, comment below, won with 48.5%. In second place, Iran, 24.2%. Third is China at 18.2%. And fourth place, Russia at 9.1%. Let's see what you had to say. Again, there were more comments, meaning more people took the time out of their day to type out a response to this poll than actually just pressing the little button and walking away. I wonder why. Let's find out. Righteously indignant, David says, the United States of America. Okay, whatever. Jeff Ely says, the U.S. flippin' A. Why? Bob Carl says, how about the U.S.? Hamfist says, USA, because all the problems of the people of the USA and most of the rest of the world do. Michael says, America. Follow Truth says, did you know we're celebrating 250 years as a nation this year? Yeah, I didn't either. Just another upcoming 4th of July, I guess. What do we have to celebrate? Heather says, let's talk about America. Brett says, United States of America needs our attention far more than the others and should receive the same level of passion and aggression as them. Bunch of xenophobes. Melissa says, perhaps we should discuss America. Isolationist. Jonathan says, USA, America first, right? Xenophobe. John says, considering 80% of my coworkers are foreigners, I say America. Isolationist. Xenophobe. John, you've got the Ohio flag as your bio. Don't you know the war in Iran needs your attention more? The conflict in Ukraine. Don't you care about that? Don't you care about the Chinese? Somewhere in Kentucky says the United States. Elliot says, how about our own country? Matt says United States. I'm starting to sense a theme here. Are you? I wonder if anybody in the White House is sensing a theme too. Listen, we can be adults here. We can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. And yes, part of this is a tactic from parts of the press. I don't know if they do it consciously or this is just what they genuinely care about. Constantly asking about foreign policy. But Trump and everybody else in the administration, and this is benefiting Vance because he is talking about domestic issues, fraud. But the rest of the administration, if they're asked questions about foreign policy, foreign matters, you're going to have to get more deft about spinning this around and talking about the American people. Unless there's just nothing you can actually talk about that you feel good about that this administration has done for the American people. At least talk about the tax returns, the tax refunds. I know a lot of people were very pleased with theirs. But you got to start talking about the American people more. Yes, we can drop bombs on Iran. Yes, we can cut deals with China, flex to China. But this needs to at least be 60-40. American people, priorities of the American people, priorities of the people who voted for you. That's got to at least be 60-40. And all the other stuff, all the foreign stuff, as important as that is, that has to be diminished in your messaging. Pestman's Girl, United States. Neil says USA. Kim says America. APS4 says America. And Trevor says Djibouti. Tomorrow's Ask or Tell Me Anything. You can make your submissions at Real AM Update on X. Ask me any question you want. Tell me any news story. Especially, I want to reemphasize this as well. And I need to do a better job at making sure if you tell me, send me a news story from your neck of the woods, whether it's in your town, whether it's in your state that I didn't talk about, which is likely if it's from your town or state, I didn't talk about it. Okay, send those to me. If you think it's interesting, you think other people would find it interesting, send those stories to me. So ask or tell me anything. Ask me any question you want. Tell me any news story you think needs covered on the AM Update. Again, make submissions at Real AM Update on X. Have a wonderful Thursday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.